I'm a female 25 and my nephew's a male 20. This all happened a few weeks ago, but here's some backstory. My nephew and I grew up together, and I took care of him for most of my childhood and teen years. Even though we're 5 years apart, I still had to care for him, and I never minded. He's family and I care for him a lot, but growing up he would steal my stuff and not give it back, or give it back ruined or damaged. Instead of getting in trouble, I always got in trouble since I was the oldest. Since he had a rough childhood, I had to let him do whatever he wanted. I honestly didn't like that because I raised him the best I could being a teenager, and I didn't have a choice. I had to clean and cook for him, which upset me, but that's in the past. I currently have an apartment and I need help paying rent. My nephew offered to live with me and pay some rent. His college is a 10-minute drive away, and where we used to live, it's like a 40-minute drive, so he moved in with me. At first he was paying rent, and then slowly he stopped paying it. I told him he had to pay rent and needed to pay me soon, but he never would. He just said that since I'm his aunt and I'm older, I have to pay for everything for him, which makes me angry. I know that I didn't raise him to be like that. I discovered he was doing certain things he wasn't supposed to. I also found out he's been stealing money from my room. He doesn't give money for anything. He goes to school and stays in my apartment rent-free, and I can't support both of us. I've told his mom and my mom about it, and all they told me was that I should support him and give him money since I'm his aunt. I have money, but I can barely afford rent, and they want me to give him money just so he can spend it? Like, no. I told him he must get a job or he can't live with me. Then he threatened to kick me out of my own apartment, so I snapped and I kicked him out. I threw his clothes out and told him not to return. Most of my family doesn't want to talk with me right now. They're mad at me, and my cousins are the only ones talking to me. The rest of the family is not. Am I the idiot for kicking out my nephew since he thought it was only his house? Not the idiot. You're his aunt, not his parent nor his guardian. You're a young adult learning to navigate life yourself. This is not your burden. Your family's teaching your nephew to mooch off others and be entitled. I know you said you did your best when they parentified you, but you shouldn't have been put in that position to start with. If he cannot support himself, he should move back in with his parents. If that isn't an option, he can check with the extended family harassing you and stay with them. Under no circumstances do I think you should let him back in. He's already proven that he won't respect you and that he only wants a free ride. The absolute audacity of thinking he can kick you out of your apartment just blows my mind. Darling, did you change the locks? Of course your family's mad at you. Now one of them is going to have to house, feed, and give spending money to this 20-year-old thieving mooch. It's hard and it sucks, but going low contact or even no contact in this instance would likely be a blessing for you. Focus on you, not them. Also, when they throw the but family card at you, remember that family's more than blood and can be chosen as well. Update. I want to thank everyone for being brutally honest with me, and I want to clarify a few things. I'm the youngest of my siblings, and yes, I get it that maybe it wasn't the best idea to let him live with me, but I raised him, and I couldn't just leave him like that. And since he said that he would pay, I thought it would be okay, but it wasn't. I decided to cut family off, and I left the rest of his stuff in the lobby. Now nobody wants to take him, but they want me to take him back. But I'm not going to, and I'm done with them. I gave up everything for that kid, and this is how he repays me? It's time he learns that I won't bail him out. Oh, and I will be making a police report if he ever shows up again. My girlfriend and I have been together for 3 years, and have been living together for 2. We're discussing marriage and when it would likely happen. I'm a software engineer and so is she. We both make 6 figures, so money isn't much of an issue, and we each own our own home, although we're living in mine and renting hers out. She's been really tired from work and complains about being tired. I've told her that once we have kids, she can be a stay-at-home mom, and she told me that there's no way she would agree to that. I just assumed she wanted her career and left it at that. But one of her friends is thinking of being a stay-at-home mom. They've been talking over the phone and in person, and one day, over the phone, my girlfriend told her, "Don't do it. He's going to be abusive, and then your life will be ruined. At least work part-time. You said your job will accommodate. I asked her later on if her friend's husband was abusive, and she said not yet. I asked her what she meant, and she said she believes if one person has financial power over another, they will no longer respect the other person and probably end up abusing them. I was shocked she thought this and asked her if that's why she refuses to be a stay-at-home mom, and she said yes. I asked her why she thinks I would abuse her, and she said she doesn't think I would abuse her now or if we both remain working and have our own assets. But men are told so much about how women are only after their money, they don't see or appreciate the work stay-at-home moms have to do. Since, according to her, most guys do not appreciate it anyway and just feel like they're being used for their money, they'll lose respect for their partner and begin to resent them. I told her, I know how much work it is to be a stay-at-home mom. And she got mad and said, I'm just paying lip service. And guys always say that until they have to pay for the wife as a dependent, which is when they get resentful. They see them making money as their authority and will begin making decisions without their wife's input. She said she knows so many stay-at-home moms who have their lives ruined when they quit a good-paying job to stay at home and then have to go back to work years later when their husbands lose respect for them and cheat on them. She said she knows it's happening so many times, she knows she'll be crazy not to learn from them and keep working. I got mad and told her, just because she has trust issues doesn't mean guys are monsters, and we do not mind taking care of a woman who's staying at home with our children. She said, lip service is easy to pay, and refused to discuss it anymore. Sorry, but you are the idiot. Look, man, the saying goes, if you give someone the power to feed you, you also give them the power to starve you. You say you would never, and I'm sure you wouldn't, but that's what's always said. Be offended. That's your prerogative. But like for a woman, it's like playing Russian roulette. You insist you're not a loaded chamber, but she can't ever really know that unless she pulls that trigger. And if you're not an empty chamber, the consequences are dire. I'd rather not pull that trigger and find out. She sounds smart. I'm divorcing after 25 years of marriage, both engineers. This exact thing happened to me. Yes, power corrupts. We were equals until I raised the kids and I lost my value to him as he got more and more successful in his career. Last year, he dared to tell me his young new swim coach was an achiever and that I should try it sometimes. Seriously, I gave up everything for that man, and he thought he could do better. I agree with her. No woman should be financially dependent on a man. We actually do not mind taking care of a woman who's staying at home with our children. Dude, in that scenario, she would be taking care of you. Comments like that suggest she has you accurately pegged as someone with some of the underpinning ideologies she's concerned about. Having to do tedious and repetitive chores and child routines every day is not being taken care of in the slightest. My boyfriend, 31 male, and I, 28 female, have been together for over 2 years. We've been living with roommates and have been looking to move in for a while. It's expensive, and I have a dog, so finding a landlord who would be okay with the dog has been difficult. My friend is moving out, and she has a dog too, and is willing to sublet for us. The landlord said that they're okay with signing with us if we want to stay after the 8-month sublet. It's a fairly good price near work, so I'm happy. We went through the credit check and we were about to sign it, but recently I discovered that my boyfriend had bought another car. He already has a daily driver, but he wants a weekend car, which I personally find ridiculous. Why does anyone need 2 cars? He has a Honda Accord that's fine, and he's never complained about problems with it. But he recently said he bought another car. He isn't the best with money. He really likes to spend till the last dollar and has no savings. I've had to bail him out twice on rent. We both pay around $1,100 plus utilities, and he makes around $70K a year. So he should have savings, but he doesn't. He paid me back, but it was months later than we agreed on. So I wasn't really happy that he did that, but I didn't realize he bought such an expensive car. He didn't show it to me until Saturday when he picked me up in a Corvette. I didn't know what model it is, but I asked him how much it was, and he said it wasn't my business. I was angry he bought a clearly expensive car. He admitted later, because I refused to let it go, that it was $42K, and he had traded in the Honda. Even then, his payments are almost $800 a month. I was so mad he did that, especially because he asked me to cover part of his share of the apartment security deposit a week before he bought the car. I called my friend, apologized, and told her I couldn't sign the lease, and she said she was okay with it. Thankfully, I haven't paid the deposit yet, and my roommate is okay with me staying, so I'm good. But my boyfriend's lease is ending, and the landlord wants him out, so he's mad at me for canceling our moving in together because now he still needs me to move and probably will be paying more than if we moved in together. He yelled at me for butting in on his business, saying it's not my business what he buys. I think that's fair, but he also has no money and bought an expensive car. So if anything goes wrong, I have to pay a share of the rent. So am I the idiot for canceling our apartment signing? He hasn't paid you back for the times you've had to cover his rent, but it's not your business that he bought himself a Corvette? Why keep dating this man? You clearly can't trust him. You are the idiot to yourself if you stay with him. He clearly cannot be trusted with finances, so why would you want to progress to a point of cohabitation? Finances are a shared business when you cohabit as a couple, and while you don't need to sign off on every purchase of his, you definitely need to know if he's planning to leave you to carry all the financial burden. OP, you've got your answer. This guy is a huge financial liability. Stay with him if you want, but know what you're getting into. I am very annoyed. I have 2 daughters-in-law, and this is about Amy. Amy is very sensitive. This isn't always a bad thing, but there have been multiple times when she started crying over small things. She started crying when I informed her my childhood dog, over 40 years ago, was dead. For this reason, my son is highly protective of her. Also, she's not compatible with the outdoors, to be honest. She's clumsy, which usually results in her falling and getting hurt. The worst case was when she fell and scraped her knee and started bawling. I truly thought someone was dying or extremely hurt. It was a scraped knee. Instead of it feeling like an adult relationship, it feels like I have to babysit her all the time, not to mention walking on eggshells or she might cry. My 2 daughters have also felt this way, and when we bring it up, my son will not entertain the conversation. I don't know what's going on with her, but we've raised our complaints before, and nothing has changed. So I'm planning a camping trip, and I invited my other daughter-in-law and my daughters. For the reasons above, I didn't ask Amy. Not everyone has to be invited to everything. She's still invited to all the full family trips, holidays, and get-togethers. She's also never invited me out, which is fine. The trip is next weekend, and they came over to pick up the kids and asked me to babysit next week. I turned it down since I'll be gone. They learned about the trip, and I wasn't going to lie. Amy got quiet and asked why she wasn't invited. I told her this was just a little trip with them. She got quiet, and my son got angry and told me that I should have invited her. I reiterated to them that this wasn't a family trip. Nothing was working. After going in a circle, I had enough. I told them I didn't invite her because I don't want her there. I will not be giving invites to someone I don't want at the event. You don't get invited everywhere. They both need to be adults and understand. If they can't get that through their heads, I will bring up every family vacation they took where I didn't get an invite. They both called me an idiot. Yeesh. You do realize you just torched the relationship with your son, right? And burned what flimsy bridge you had with your daughter-in-law to the ground. Honestly, you come across as an absolute judgy idiot. Fine, you didn't invite her. You could have just been more tactful and delicate about how you told her, especially since you're aware she's sensitive. It comes across like you intended to hurt her to prove your point. You are the idiot in general. I'm not sure I'd want to be invited anywhere if a scraped knee is the equivalent of a fractured femur to the drama queen of the hour. And extending an invitation to her after she throws a temper tantrum is probably how she wound up as a grown woman with the emotional discipline of a toddler. OP is not the idiot, but the son is if he thinks we all want to cater to his grown princess in Pampers. My friend Janie and I are in the same senior English class. Janie's very smart, and when our semester ended a few weeks ago, we found out that she was the valedictorian of our class. My best friend Sophie was second, so she was slightly disappointed. We have vocab tests every other Friday, with 40 words on them in English. They're usually very hard, and Janie always gets the highest score in the class. Last Thursday, my computer was dead, so I borrowed Janie's to turn in an assignment. When she gave it to me, it was open to a site with vocab questions. I wasn't sure what it was, but I took a picture of it. Last Friday, when we took our test, I noticed that I recognized a couple of the questions. I found the picture I had taken, went to the URL, and found all the questions from the test, and going back through all the tests, all the questions were there. I emailed my picture to our English teacher and let him know my concerns that Janie was cheating. He had a meeting with her on Monday, and she's angry with me because they're looking into giving her an academic integrity warning, which may invalidate her from being valedictorian. She told all our friends what I did, and they all sided with her because she said what she was doing was technically not cheating. I've been ostracized from school, except for Sophie, who's still talking to me. Am I the idiot for reporting her cheating? Huge. You are the idiot, babe. Homegirls was literally studying. Looking up the vocabulary words is not cheating. Using a test your teacher got online and not even bothering to change to study is not cheating. I don't know anyone who hasn't looked up vocab before the test or used Quizlet, etc. Utilizing resources the way Janie does shows a much better work ethic and sense of initiative than doing nothing. No one stopped you or your friend from studying. Maybe if you took notes and followed her lead, homie would have earned valedictorian without your malicious intent and actions. To be quite honest, you seem like a petty loser. She was nice and let you use her laptop, and your first thought was, let me dime out the person who was nice to me. Sorry to break it to you, but this will follow you everywhere you go. No one likes narcs, especially ones who dime out their friends. Yeah, I'm confused on why she was snooping in the first place. Seems like she asked to use the girl's computer on purpose, honestly. Girl, you sabotaged a friend and acted like you didn't. So you saw that on her screen, didn't know what it was and thought, I'll take a picture of that? Girl, you knew what you were doing. This is jealousy at its finest. Your second place friend is the only one you'll have after the cheater's parents get involved, and they will. The teacher's laziness is exposed, and the cheater is vindicated and ends up back in the first place.